will give you some very good knowledge with which you can use it developing further applications in the area of machine learning. And in fact, application development is going to be the full focus for the day. I'll also try to show you some demonstrations that I have built. It will be helpful for you. Meanwhile, please let me know if you have any questions. I can answer those questions and I can move ahead slowly. I'm in no hurry. If at all you have any questions in between, please type the questions in the chat box, or you can interrupt me anytime in between so that I'll be able to give you the answers. And I want an interactive session. So if at all you have any questions, please do not hesitate and throw the questions to me, right? I hope the PPT and the screens are visible, and we are going to go step by step and we will understand what exactly is the machine learning concepts all about and what is supervised learning all about. We'll also try to build a model, and that model is going to be shown to you along with the output, and I'll explain you that step by step. And this will need somewhere around say 1.5 hours to get it completed. So I request you to be connected and to be focused. Right. There are three terms which are very highly focused these days. One is artificial intelligence, second is machine learning, and third is deep learning. Now understand, all these three areas have gained a tremendous lot of momentum. There is a lot of momentum, and this session is going to help you in getting knowledge on machine learning, and that too specific title has been given to me as supervised learning. I'll clarify each and everything in a very neat way, and if at all you have any questions, please do not hesitate and stop me. Right. Let's first understand what is artificial intelligence. Very simple. We animals and humans, I mean humans as us and our pets are animals, we have natural intelligence. We will understand, we will think and act. We don't do things just like that. But machines do not have that intelligence. So whenever you have a situation where you need to make machines intelligent and machines think and act, we call it artificial intelligence. That's all. It's a very simple explanation. I have a machine and the machine is going to act intelligent, and I call it artificial intelligence. Well, what is machine learning? Artificial intelligence is a bigger circle, and inside that I have a smaller circle called as machine learning. The machine learning is going to be a smaller subset of artificial intelligence, and very simple, I let the machine do work automatically without human intervention, and that can be termed as machine learning. The machine learns how to handle the input, what kind of output will it give, all this will be trained, and it's going to be very easy for the machine to do the task. And I will differentiate the machine learning and deep learning with a simple example a little later, but for now understand, machine learning is the one where a machine can do some task, and for that task we will have to train the machine and we might have to code for that. So that's called machine learning, and there will not be any human intervention. The human intervention is totally avoided there. That's how we can define it. And the decision taking ability, all this will be taken care of by the machine, and it is independent. Now, what is deep learning? Very simple. Deep learning is a growth. We have grown from ML to DL tremendously, and there is a connect. And whenever you talk about DL, there is something called as neural networks which will come into picture. And neural networks is something which is actually derived through the humans. The human brain is completely full of neurons. So if you can make a machine think in the way the human brain thinks, it is called deep learning or deep neural networks. That's it. I'm having a machine. The machine will think like a human. The machine will think and act like a human. That is called neural networks. And it is also called as deep neural networks, or just deep neural learning, or I mean deep learning alone. So we can call it either way. So what are all the things we had in this slide? We just understood what is artificial intelligence. We understood what is machine learning. Machine learning is something that is going to be independent. It will let the work be done by the machine itself and no human interventions are required. Deep learning is something which has got the involvement of neural networks into it, and it will act like a human brain. Right. So AI, we are going to see some applications here. I will show you some applications that I have built, and full focus is going to be on here. That's why I got a bullet view. And deep learning can be done later. And when you learn machine learning completely, you can easily navigate to deep learning, is my opinion. Right. This is what I told you. Artificial intelligence is the bigger circle, and machine learning is the inner subset of it, and deep learning is the further inner subset of it. We have got something called as NLP also, which is nothing but natural language processing, which will be connected. Sometime later, if you have time, I'll try to connect that into this cycle so that you can understand where do we fit it. Am I audible? I want one of you to acknowledge me. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Is it clear? Is the voice clear?
Yes, sir.
Perfect.
It's clear.
Right. Now let's come to the machine learning algorithms. We have got four types of algorithms. The first one is supervised learning. The second one is unsupervised learning. The third one is reinforced learning. And the fourth one is evolutionary learning. All of them are important and they are distinctly different. You can easily understand the difference and they are very, very important. I'll go step by step and you can understand it. I'm going to take a simple example. This is my son, for example, and this is me for an instance. Now, every day I take my son out and I show him an apple and a banana. I tell him, see, son, this is an apple. I'm just teaching him every day. I'm telling him every day that, see Sayari, this is apple and this is banana. First day I teach him, second day I teach him, third day I teach him, and fourth day I ask him, son, tell me what are these? I'll show him an apple now and I will ask him, what is this? So he will immediately tell me, this is an apple. Son, what is this? I will ask by showing a banana. He will immediately tell me, this is a banana. Very simple. We are training the system to identify what is apple and what is banana through a repeated set of training. And when you want to identify what is banana and what is apple later, it will identify perfectly like what my son did. Very simple. This process of the data-based training, the training-based system, which is going to enable you to build the model and to predict the outcome, is called as supervised learning. That's it. I supervise. I clearly instruct my son that this is called banana, this is called apple, and he will remember it every time when I tell him. And one fine day, he'll tell me the answer very clearly. Now, I will show him the third thing. I'm showing him a different thing now. I'm showing him a jackfruit. I ask him, what is this? Sorry, mom, you have not introduced me to that. That's the point. If not trained, I will not be able to answer what is it. You have never introduced a banana. I never introduced anything other than a banana or apple. You are asking a question which is no way relevant to him. So he will say that, sorry, I do not know. So supervised learnings are completely based on the training. If you are training the system with apple, banana, or orange, only that the system will be able to recognize. If you are showing something else and if you want to recognize jackfruit, no, it won't happen. Very simple. The person will not be able to identify, and same is the case with PC. The PC will not also be able to identify. I mean, your machine will fail. Okay, sir. You have told the case where we have got the apple and the banana. Now I am going to take a different case with respect to supervised learning. What is it, sir? Very simple. You taught right. You last time trained your son right. You took apple and you told that this is apple. Apple was termed correctly as apple, banana was termed correctly as banana, and now the case comes where I purposefully train it wrongly. I teach apple as banana and banana as apple. First day I'm training my son, see son, this is banana, this is apple. Purposely I am training wrongly, I am giving a wrong training. Now second day also I am training him, this is banana, this is apple. Third day I am asking him, some what are they? So very simple, he will say apple as banana and banana as apple. Why, sir? Karma. Very simple. You provide wrong training, you get only wrong results. Whatever you do comes back to you. So if you are not training the system properly, in that case what will happen is you will get wrong results. You are expected to train the system nicely. If you are not training it nicely, it is going to end up in giving you only wrong results. Remember, it is 100% based on what training you give. So, and that's called supervised learning. We are going to learn the supervised learning techniques, and I'm going to go step by step with the regression. I'm going to teach you how exactly the linear regression works. All those things will be done. But let's understand technologically, let's understand terminology wise what is supervised, what is unsupervised, what is reinforced, and what is evolutionary. I hope you have got no doubts in supervised learning technique till now. If you have a doubt, you can probably type it in the chat box and I will be able to answer your questions whenever I find time in between. Am I audible and clear? You need to acknowledge that in between if there is a problem. Right.
Okay, sir.
Let me go to the next one, which is called unsupervised learning technique. What is it, sir? Very simple. This approach will not have the knowledge of the outcome variable in the data set. What do you mean by that? I do not know, I am not trained properly saying this is apple, this is banana. and I do not know that. So I need to learn through proper understanding, and I'm going to take a baby for an example. I'm again taking a baby as an example, and see that a baby is there, for example, named Sachin is there, and this baby is now provided with a list of images which has got cats and dogs mixed together. It is all cats and dogs together. The baby has not seen the cats and dogs in its life earlier. The baby is not at all familiar with what is cat and dog. Just assume that the baby is not familiar. The baby will now understand that these similarities are there between cats and dogs. All the dogs look somehow similar, all the cats look somehow similar. What are all the things that the baby can understand? It can easily identify that the tail of the dog is longer, the face and the nose of the dog is different, and similarly for cat the tail is shorter, the face is totally different, and the noise it raises is bow bow, and here it is meow. So it can now start understanding that these two are two different living things, these two are two different species totally, and it will try to understand and classify. Now this is called the learning which happens without you training them. Now it is a pattern that the baby generates automatically through the gift that God has given us, the brain. So it can group based on the pattern that the baby identifies. There could be some mistakes here and there, but this approach where the content is understood and then the results are grouped is called clustering, and then the baby will cluster and it will say that, dad, these are all the dogs and these are all the cats. There could be one or two mistakes, but still this is going without training. This is called as unsupervised training. This is called unsupervised learning. Now what do we call this as? We call this as cluster. Remember, this is called as cluster. I'll talk about it a little later. I'm going to give you a clear example of what is clustering, what is classification, and what is regression. I'm going to give you a clear example on that. You need to wait a little bit for that to be done. I need a little bit more time, maybe another 25 minutes, 30 minutes time for us to get into that. Now, what is reinforcement learning? Very simple. I'll tell you this way. I'm a cricketer. I play cricket every day, and I'm now facing the fast bowling, right? I'm facing fast bowling. I'm very good at hitting the full toss, or I'm very good at hitting the short pitch, but I get bowled every time through a Yorker delivery. So what happens? My coach is telling me, see Sriram, when there is a Yorker ball, come a little forward and defend it. Make it a full toss and drive it. This is what the training he gives me. He gives me feedback. This model is like acquiring feedback. So what is the example that I can give here? Very simple. I'm going to take a very simple example of my son again. I'm asking my son, what is this? Now son does not know about it, but son predicts that it could be an orange. What is it? It is actually not an orange and it is apple. Now, what is the mom saying? Mom is saying, or I am saying for an instance, son, this is not an orange, this is an apple. So be careful, this is an apple. Now, what will happen? The son will next time on seeing it, he will recall it correctly as, oh, last time I made a mistake and I called it an orange, and this time I should not make a mistake and I should call it an apple. So the next time the son will exactly call it an apple. This is called reinforcement learning or feedback based learning. I give you feedback and the system should be capable of correcting it, acquiring that mistake, and it should be able to correct it. Very simple. Now, what is evolutionary learning? This is one field where there are a lot of researchers are working and multiple research outputs are coming these days. And if you are a PhD scholar and who wants to probably do something in the machine learning and the deep learning sector, you can take the evolutionary approach and you can use genetic algorithms for building your system. What do you mean by genetic algorithm, sir? Very simple. Whenever I go with the natural evolution, whenever I use the nature as an input, for example, if you see ants going in the walls, going in the side by walls, they will all follow a pattern. There will be a pattern consistently. If you see the birds flying in the sky, there will be a pattern. So they are all not trained like that, but they will fly perfectly. That's called a natural phenomena. It's called natural evolution. So we can use that, and that's genetically connected to them. They will all do it through their genetics. So we need to pull that out and we can understand if we can implement that into our machine learning system to build a solution. That's it. This is called the evolutionary approach, and this evolutionary approach is the field where we are going to have a lot of focus, and future is going to be dependent on this. There will be multiple algorithms, there will be multiple things that will happen in this area, because this will be more successful because already people, already systems, already human beings, living things are all working on a genetical method. We all have some genetics connected to us. So if you pull out something out of it and if you want to build a system that should be successful is the point. Now, till now what we have seen, I have just conveyed you 4 different types of learnings. The first one is called as the supervised learning where I will train. Second one, no, I won't train, you will cluster it. Third one, I will train you, but after you make a mistake, it will be like a feedback I give you. Fourth one, I will follow the genetic approach. Very simple. These are the 4 types of algorithms. Yes, swarm algorithms are an example for that. I'll answer your questions a little later. So don't worry, if you have a question, please type it in the comment section. I'll be able to chat section. I'll be able to answer them. Right? Don't worry if I'm not answering right now because I go in a flow. I want to get it done neatly and we will go ahead with it. Now, right. Why do we need machine learning or how familiar are we with machine learning? Sir, if you ask me a question, are we all familiar with machine learning? I'll say yes, we are all very familiar with machine learning. Why? I'll take a simple example of this cloud. These are dark clouds. Can you see that? These are all dark clouds. And in your childhood, when you are playing outside your house, if dark clouds come, your mom will come and say, Beta, see, there is a set of dark clouds which are coming, it is going to rain. So she would have conveyed it 10 times at least in your entire childhood. Your entire childhood would have happened this way. She would have conveyed it at least 10 15 times every year whenever there is a rainy season. And when you are grown up, when you see the sky which is getting dark, what will you say? You will say that it is going to rain. So who trained you? Your mom trained you. That's it. This is called machine learning. I get training from my mom. I listen from the people who are nearby me and I get trained. Now we receive this training during our childhood and the same concept is going to be used in the machine learning. We train, we get the machine working, repeatedly working with no human intervention. That's it. I repeat, we train, we will get the machine working and repeatedly and consistently working with right outputs also without any human intervention. Right. Sir, can you tell me some applications where machine learning is already used and already in a bigger one, already in a big flow? Yes. I'll take a simple example. You open your Google window, I mean, you open your Google search window, and parallelly, you open your FB. You search for Thailand holidays. You try it out whenever you are free today itself. Thailand holidays, couple of times. And evening, you log in into your FB. There would be advertisements which are related to Thailand holidays which will be coming. You must have seen that, right? And Facebook friend recommendation, I have got a friend, the friend has got multiple friends, and it will rightly recommend that out of this only this guy is your friend and you can connect him. It's through the link, it's through the training. I have got Amazon, I refer a product, it also refers me some other products which are similar to it. I go for Netflix and Netflix recommends me the movie which are very good for me and which I would certainly like. How? Through a pattern that you have already given it as an input. In Netflix, you are always seeing it movie which are horror movies. So it will only recommend horror movies. You are always seeing romantic movies. It will only recommend romantic movies. You are always seeing only the movies which are sports related. So it will show that. So all these guys, FB, Amazon, Netflix, Flipkart, all these guys, whomever we are buying and selling our products online, they all are dependent on machine learning and to a decent extent deep learning also. So remember, without this nothing can be done online. When you want to predict your customer, it's all about prediction. When I want to know what my customer likes, it's like I'm coming to your table and if I tell you that you like only puri and dosa, you'll be very happy. You deliver it well in time with understanding that this guy only likes puri and dosa in your hotel, in your restaurant. That will be a best thing possible for him. You are visiting a place and without they asking you what do you need and if they can deliver you, you will be very happy, right? So that's what is going to happen. That's what is already happening. I'll show you an example of that through a demo project as well which I have built. All these are real and nothing is actually imaginary. All what I told are happening. All what I told are already happening in the market, and you have got a lot of products and recommendations that are happening through your machine learning and deep learning. Right. Now let's understand one more very important thing that's very very important for us. In fact, it is called as the ML framework. What is ML framework and how do we use it? That's it. It's very important. Let me go through it quickly. Maybe in a 5 minutes time frame, you will be able to understand what is the framework that we have for ML. Till now, is it clear, everybody? Is it clear till now? Right. The next thing that we need to know and to understand is the machine learning framework. Sir, what do you mean by framework, sir? Very simple. Framework will let you know what are all the things to be done for you to accomplish a task. I have a task now. I need to accomplish a task. What are all the things I will do for me to achieve that task? That's it. Right? What are all the platform support that I need? That's what I need to do. So, for an example, when you are asked to cook chapati and dal, what will you do? Roti and dal. What are all the components required? Will be what you will think. How many people are going to come for the dinner? What is the size of the chapati or roti we need to make? How many side dishes we need to make? All these you will plan, right? You will visualize. Okay, I have got 10 people. They will all sit here and eat. That's exactly what you are trying to do. Whenever I have a data set, I need to analyze, I need to understand, I need to clean it, and then I need to go ahead with the model building process. So it's all step by step, and that's what is referred as the framework. What is the first step? The first step is called as the data collection. This is the most important step in machine learning. Data collection. What is it, sir? I need to collect data from various resources, and the data is the new fuel. Without data, nothing happens. The first step in any machine learning framework or deep learning framework for that matter is to collect the data. Now, what is the second step? The second step is all about preparation of the data. I'm going to prepare the data. Let me take roti as the example. What is the first step? I need to collect wheat. Second step, I need to prepare the wheat for it to be cooked. Prepare wheat. Now, what do we do here? In the preparation process, I will clean the data. I will sanitize the data in the sense I'll see if there are any repeated entries. I'll see if there are any outliers. For example, outlier is a very important concept. All the data entries are like this: 72, 74, 75, 71 are the data entries, and suddenly you get 100. This 100 is called the outlier. I can remove it. And suddenly you have got 130. This 30 is also outlier. They are called outliers. So in a class, there will be two outliers at least. One will be performing absolutely fantastically, and another one will be performing very poorly. So this poor guy and absolutely stunning guy, both are called outliers. And I need to remove that. I need to clean the data. How many digits can I hold? How many dots? I mean, how many digits after the dot do I support in my system? Those kind of inputs will all come in the preparation process. Now let's take the wheat example again, chapati roti example again. I took the wheat. I now have to clean it. The wheat may have some dust. The wheat may have some part of it which are not good. So I need to remove all those and clean it. So cleaning happens. This is the second step. What is the third step? Now I need to build the model. I will choose a right algorithm. I will build the model now. And this is similar to I am making the chapati in a right shape. Forgive me, shape of the chapati. It will not be like that for sure, I believe. Now I need to test the model. I have got the data already available. I can take some of them and I can test the model. Now what will I do? Before you serve it to others, it is the habit of our moms and you as well. So I'll take a piece of chapati. I'll cut and eat it with the dal. I'll see if salt is okay, sugar is okay, everything is okay, masala is okay, and I will test it. Now what is the last step? The last step is to visualize and improve. I will display the results in a nice pattern, and I'll understand where do I have the data going different, where do we have the data settling down properly, and that's called visualization and improving the model. Now what is the fifth step in the roti making? I will take it in a plate and I'll arrange it nicely with dal, kurma, and some sort of curry leaves over it to make it look nice. That's all. This is exactly what is called as the framework. The framework starts with collecting data. The framework goes on with preparing the data, I mean cleansing the data. Then we go with modeling it. I will build a model. The model is something which can handle the input and it can give you the output, and then I will test it. The testing is very important to understand if the model you have built is okay enough for you to send different sort of inputs. It is like preparing a batsman. I've got a batsman and the batsman is very good in batting. So before he goes to the match, he always goes for net practice. In the net practice, he will be tested. If he fails in the net practice, he won't be approved. Simple. So this process is called testing. This process is called a training. He gets trained in cricket, he gets tested, and then he is put onto the field. And after he performs well, there will be a graph and bar chart which shows that he scored 100, 75, 120 like that. That's it. Did you understand the framework? This entire framework is going to be serving as the most fundamental component in the machine learning and deep learning. Deep learning frameworks are slightly different. I'll tell you that little later when the time permits me. But understand, this is mostly the fundamental crux. Now, I had a question in the chat box which asked me, what is the difference between ML and DL? Understand, I have a banana and apple. Let's take banana. I have a machine learning system to identify if it is banana or apple. But my deep learning system can identify if I can eat this banana or not. If it is rotten or not can be identified. Machine learning will help in telling me if it is banana or apple, but deep learning would tell me the features. If it is rotten, what are all the number of dots over there? Is it eatable or not? So if you go deeper into the features of a particular component, particular item, I call it deep learning. Remember it. I refer to analysis the analyzing the features of a particular image or particular component or particular thing as deep learning. More feature based, I can extract more deeper contents into it. How many dots are there, where and all it is yellow in color, where and all it is pale in color. I can refer all those, and that's the major difference. I hope you understood the Darshana Patel. And that's the easiest way you can differentiate deep learning and machine learning, right? Now, the most important thing to understand is what are all the prerequisites for using or learning machine learning. There are many installations which you have to do. I'm going to give you the links for it at the end of the session. I have already conveyed it in my channel. I will give you the link. But for now, understand that we are going to be highly relying on NumPy, Matplotlib, SciPy, and Pandas. Pandas is going to be my heart, kidney, liver, lungs, everything for machine learning. It is going to help me in a great way. And most important point is installation of Jupyter. This is very, very important. And Anaconda. I will install all these, and without which I cannot do much in machine learning, because they have made it so easy. And Anaconda distribution is the first thing that you need to install. So how do we install it? I'll quickly go through it so that you can refer to it and understand it later. I need to visit this website, anaconda.com/distribution. When you go there, you will get this window. You will get this window, and inside that, yeah, you can use that also. I saw a question. Yes, you can use Colab also, no problem. But I will go through it quickly so that, one second, I missed your question. Let me read that through and answer. Sir, is installation necessary? We can use Colab. Yes, installation is necessary for people who do not know it. So I'll quickly go through it. I won't waste a lot of time here. So you need to download it, and from this section you can download it. Now you can see that I would prefer you to go with 3.7 version, download it, and just install it the way I'm installing it here. You can just install it, click it, double click it, agree, that's all. And one very important error that we all will do while installing it is, I'll show you that right now. The destination folder should not have gap in between. The name of the folder is Saigiri space Sriram here. It should not be that way. It has to be without gap, and that's very important for you. So I made it as Anna. So that's the most important point to remember. If you have gap in between the folder name, Sri space Ram, it won't work. It has to be Sri Ram. That's it. Once you are done with it, you are done with the installation process. And installation of Jupyter Network is very easy. Please go through that in my channel. I will give you the link. And once it is done, we can launch our program. That's it. I'm not going to waste time here. And Pandas, please understand there is one very important term that we need to understand with respect to Pandas, which is called data frame. Remember, data frame is a most important terminology. What is data frame? Very simple. Whatever data I give as input to my system should be made a data frame so that it can be visualized clearly. My data could be inconsistent, my data could not be in a proper fashion right now. I'm making it into a proper readable format, and it is called as the DF, which is nothing but the data frame. Remember it, it is going to be like the heart for the entire process. It's a 2D structure. When I have a data which is not properly structured, when I convert it into proper rows and columns, and when I make it more readable in two-dimensional way, it is called as the data frame. Remember it, without having data frame, nothing will work. And I'm skipping all this because I understand that you people will know it. So let me go to the concepts more into it instead of teaching you how exactly these can be done. If you want to know all this, I can help you out with my link that I have given in the channel so that you can refer to it. and you can learn it. And all these are the plots that we need to learn. Bohr plot. There are many plots available. You can use scatter plots, and all these are the plots that are available, and you can learn it. And I'm not going to spend time here. Instead, we are getting into the very important section where we need to understand how exactly the regression and other stuff works. Somebody has pinged me with something I do not know. Channel link, please, sir. Yeah, I'll give that link. Don't worry. Priyadarshini Murugesan, I will give the link. I will give you all the details. Don't worry at the end of the session, and you may make a note of it. It's all very easy to do. If I go with installation, what happens? It spends a lot of time there. So I will not be able to cover the core concepts, and I may not be able to show you the demos. That's what I'm worried about. So let's spend time on core concepts instead of installation, which is pretty easy for you to do. Right. There is definitely one question that is frequently asked. What is the difference between regression and clustering? This question is very, very consistent and common. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a very simple example. I'll take a very simple example which I have created it by referring to some other material. On seeing that, you will understand what exactly is the difference between classification, clustering, and regression. It cannot be made any easier than this. So let's first understand that, and then we will go deeper into regression. So understand that. Now, what is regression first? This is called regression. I have got a photo or image of a male, a female, both are adults, and a kid, male child and a female child. Now, when I predict the height of the male as 170, 168, 100, and 95, what do? I predict. This is called regression. Now, if I classify them as adults and children, grown and growing, I call it classification. I classify. I did not predict, I classify. Now, I cluster them. These are cluster A, this is cluster B. I group them. You understand, right? This is grown and growing, but this is cluster. I'm clustering them as A and B. That's it. This is called clustering. This is the most important and the most fundamental concept for you to remember. If you forget this concept in interview, you are already losing one question. So make sure that you guys do not forget that. It is very, very important question, the difference between clustering, classification, and regression. Regression is all about prediction. I'm going to predict. That's all. Can we learn regression right now? Is it all clear till now? I'm a bit fast, I believe. I'm a bit fast, I believe. I'll go slow a little bit if you want, but is it all clear till now? I need more.
Yes.
I need more answers. Can I carry on?
Yes, sir. Please carry on.
Yeah, because I don't want to waste your time as well as my time should be most respectable. We need to learn something. That's the most important point. Let's not waste time. If you are not understanding, stop me in between. Okay, right. Now the most important part has come. Sir, what is it, sir? Are you going to conclude? No, we are going to start right now. We are now starting. Let me drink water once again. Right. The area has come where we need to understand that regression is fully about mathematics. How many of you do not like mathematics like me? There are many people who might not like mathematics, but without mathematics, you cannot survive. Max is like oxygen right now. I need math. I'm going to do that, and we will learn math, but it is going to be a very simple math. I'm telling you, you would not believe that it is as simple, because when I started learning it, I thought it is very complex, but it's not so complex and it's pretty easy for you. So pay attention, and we are going to do a linear regression first. Then we will go ahead step by step, and we will learn the rest of the modules, and then I'll build models for you, and finally I will complete it with a couple of case studies which I have built for machine learning, and I'll also tell you how exactly deep learning model works, if possible, if time permits, and we will conclude there. Right. What is linear regression, sir? Very simple. Linear regression is very useful and very common in predictive analytics and machine learning. Whenever you talk about ML or predictive analytics, the first question in the interview would be, what is linear regression? Very simple. We are going to answer that question right now. Please keep a pen and paper ready if you want, because it's going to be very interesting. At the same time, you may have to note the math. Right? It's all math. Again, if you hate math, I'm sorry, you will hate it also, but it's easy to understand. So let's try to understand. Right. What is regression? Regression is nothing but I am going to draw a relationship between dependent variable and independent variable. Sir, what is dependent variable, sir? What is independent variable, sir? Let me not confuse you. The dependent variable is nothing but output and independent variable is nothing but input. So what are we going to do? We are going to draw a clear relationship between a dependent variable and independent variable. That's it. Which means we are going to draw a relationship between output and input. This is what we are going to do. X-axis should always be input, y-axis should always be output. I am following this norms and we are going to follow this consistently. Now what are we going to do? We are going to now understand how regression works through drawing relationship between two cases. The first case is going to be amount of hours worked, and salary drawn. I work for 5 hours, so my salary should be this much. I work for 10 hours, so my salary should be doubled into 2. Also, I'm going to plot another thing for understanding amount of hours I studied and the marks scored. Both are very, very important. This is what we are going to learn right now. Now, the plotting is very easy and please follow the same procedure. What we are going to do is we are going to draw the relationship between the input and output as I told you repeatedly. This is very, very important. Now what do we do? I make a x versus y. You can see that here this is x and this is y. This is independent variable, this is dependent variable. This is input, this is output. What do you mean by independent variable, sir? The input can be anything. I do not care about the range of input, but the output is exactly dependent on the input. That's why this is called a dependent variable. Okay, so you are running in a track, you drink glucose, and amount of glucose you drink is your choice, but based on the amount of glucose you drink you can cover the distance. The distance covered is a dependent variable where amount of glucose that you had inside is an independent variable. I hope I made it very clear here. This is a very important and a very fundamental point. Now there are two cases that you need to understand. One is positive relationship. It is called positive relationship. What do you mean by that, sir? Very simple. Whenever the independent variable increases, whenever this value increases, if you see an increase in this value, then it is called positive. You can see that here, I am here right now, so the value is here. I am here right now, so the value has increased to this. Do you see that visually? That's very simple. Now what do we do? When the independent variable increased, you always saw that the dependent variable also increased. Now can we take an instance? We will take an example here so that you will understand it clearly. Okay, sir. I worked for 5 hours today. I got a wage of $5 for an instance. This is 5 hours. Now I work for 15 hours. So what should be my wage? It is $15. So this is called the positive relationship. We have the positive relationship here, which means as the independent variable keeps increasing, the dependent variable keeps increasing as well. Now there is something called as negative relationship. What is it, sir? Very simple. I watched a number of hours TV. For example, I watched 3 hours in the TV and the score I got is 7.5 CGPA. Now I watched 8 hours TV and the score I got is only 5.5 CGPA. Now this has caused you to get a good score of 7.5, but increase in the independent variable has decreased the dependent variable here as 5.5. What is it called as? More the number of hours you watch TV and spend time there, you are getting the CGPA drop. It is obvious, and this is called the negative relationship, and that's what is plotted here. You can see that I have watched lesser number of, you can see that here it is increased, here it has decreased. Here if it is decreased, it will be increased. You understand, right? This relationship is called a negative relationship. This is a very important interview question. I'm telling you. How do you connect the independent variable and dependent variable as negative and positive relationship would be the question. Remember, this is such a damn important question. So don't forget it. Now, sir, why are you talking about this, sir? What is the final ambition or final aim that we have in hand, sir? Very simple. Our aim is all towards drawing a line. That's it. I have plots are here. I have input. I have output. Now I am going to draw a plot, sir. I will, for example, let me draw it here. I have input and output. I have got plots, points, input and output here. Now I need to draw a plot. I am drawing a line. For example, this is the line. This is a bad line actually. Let me draw this way, covering up most of the things. You can see that here in this case, what I have done is I have drawn a line. Now, this line has exactly intersected at this point, and this point, and this is all okay. This is pretty close to you. This is close to you. Now, this line is called as regression line, and this will let you understand the estimated value versus actual value difference. Okay, sir, I draw a line called as a regression line. It will tell me what is actually estimated and what has been actually arrived at. So what do? You can now tune the system to make sure that you get better results in terms of what is expected better versus what is arrived at. And this is drawn not just like that. I drew it just like that now, right? Now it cannot be drawn that way. We have got something called as least square method. This least square method is the one which is going to help me in drawing this. You can ask a question, sir, is regression line always straight, sir? Is this is always straight? No, it need not be. It need not be. There are cases where it will not be that. But our aim is to draw, you can even draw like this. Who cares? It can be this way also. But it is not correct. The reason is very simple. Our aim is to make sure that we get a line which is fitting most of the scenarios. It is not that we need to cover everything. If we cover everything, that is called overfitting. We are overfitting now. If I draw a regression line like this, it is called overfitting. If I miss everything and if I draw here, it is called underfitting. You are missing or you are covering everything. Covering everything is impossible. Missing everything is also bad solution. So we need to make sure that we are getting a line which is apt, which is appropriate. The overall aim is to reduce the error and to get the error as minimum as it can be. Remember that it has to be as minimum as it can be. Now this line is what we need to refer as regression line. Now the errors are, the point you have here is, say for example, this is 5 and this is 7. Now the error is 2. 2 is the difference. Here it is 2 again. So we need to understand that the actual value has slipped from the estimated value by 2 points. That's it. Do you understand what is regression line? Because this is such a fundamental question. If somebody asks you in interview, tomorrow you should not stumble. You need to say that, very simple, sir. It is a chart or a graph which will plot the relationship between input and output. Input is always referred as independent variable and output is always referred as dependent variable. This line is called regression line. This will help me in plotting and understanding what is the estimated value versus what is the non-estimated value. We are going to talk about the linear regression versus non-linear regression shortly, and you will have to wait for it. Let me go step by step, and I have another 40 minutes left with me, so we can move step by step, right? Now, we need to go a little bit more math on it. We have not yet gotten into the math, so now comes the time for math. You all remember something fundamental that we have studied in our 10th standard, y equal to mx plus c. You all remember it, right? I need some acknowledgement here. Come on, I am talking. You all remember, right? Y equal to mx plus c. You all remember? It's a very simple thing, right? So, we are going to use that right now. Am I understandable? Am I understandable? I want to reiterate. Am I understandable? Is it interesting? Right. It's time for us to understand the math behind it, and it's very simple. I'm telling you, machine learning is all fun. It is not difficult. At the same time, if you have a proper procedure to learn it, it is all fun. So we'll understand that right now. Y equal to mx plus c is what we are going to take right now, and instead we will call it as y equal to b0 plus b1 star ex. B equal to b0 plus b1 star x. Now, what is y, sir? This y is nothing but the estimate. The y is called the estimate. What is x, sir? The x is nothing but amount of hours worked. What is b0, sir? This b0 is called as y-intercept. What is b1, sir? This b1 is nothing but slope. Very simple. Can we plot it here? This is estimate. This is amount of hours worked. And this is called b1. This is called b0. Let me clear the screen and do it once more so that you can understand it pretty well. Now what is this? This is called dependent variable, which is nothing but y. This is called independent variable, which is nothing but x. This is called b1, which is called the slope. Mathematically, you need to understand what is it. I'll teach you also. We have some math problems there. This is called the line where we call it as y-intercept. This is called b0. So when you derive y equal to b0 plus b1 star x, you get the regression plotted. Very simple. As the amount of hours increase, the pay should increase, and in that case, it is called positive outcome. X is always independent variable, and we can only control x. We have got no control over y. Y is the output, and we have no control. X is the input. You can vary the input. Remember, you should train the system with multiple variable inputs for you to predict the appropriate output. That's the point, right? Your salary is dependent on the number of hours you worked. So for me, you need to first give me the number of hours you worked, and I will predict your salary. That's it. It's very, very simple. We are going to have one example where I will connect your CGPA with the salary, annual salary that you are drawing. I'm going to teach about that a little later, but we need time for it. I cannot rush so much also. I hope you understand. I'm already sweating. So we need to go a little slow. I have some very good products that I need to show you. We'll share that also so that you can understand how exactly you can build, what kind of products you can build at the end of the session. I don't want to conclude it blunt. Right? Now we have another negative relationship equation. Y equal to B0 minus B1 into X. What is X? I already told you. It is nothing but the input. What is y? Y is nothing but the expected output. What is b0? We know that already. B0 is the y-intercept. b1 is nothing but the slope. If you have the curve like this, if you have the line drawn like this, it is positive. If you draw like this, it is negative. That's all. It's very simple. Now I can refer it to an example. The number of hours you watch eventually will affect your CGPA. More the number of hours you watch, lesser the marks you get. So it is negative. Right. Can I go to the next one? I'll go step by step, and let's not get confused. It's pretty easy. I'm taking you, in fact, in a very slow fashion. I'll give you the link of my channel. I can probably type it up here itself so that you can watch. In YouTube, you just have to go to YouTube, type Shriram, SHRARAM space Vasudevan. If you type that, you will be getting my photo, and you can subscribe to the channel and start watching. I have got playlists for ML, DL, IoT, OS, product building, and many. So if you want to take the exact link, I type the link here. You can follow it up: www.youtube.com/c/SHRIRAM space, no space, Vasudevan. That's all. HTTPS should come. I'll anyways type this also so that you can easily follow it up. We have got all these materials there, but it will be 15 minute session. Here I'm giving you a continuous one step session, which would be much easier for you to understand, I believe. But otherwise you can refer it also, and you can get a lot of knowledge there as well. Now, we have come to a state where we need to go ahead with superb mathematics. It's going to be all fun, and you will definitely understand this. Yeah. I'll answer the questions a little later. Let me continue teaching it so that we'll complete the portion that I plan to complete. I can answer your question also offline. I'll give you my email ID. We can go ahead with that. Now, what are we going to do? Very simple. We are going to find out the linear regression with least square method. After this, we'll go with one more important technique called as R square. And then we'll go ahead with building a model. I'm going to build a model step by step. I'll show you the output of it. Then I'll show you the demo. By then the time would have been up. I'll take your questions then. Excuse me. Right. How do we use the least square methods, or how do we understand the least square methods? This is very important. Now what do we do? I have got X and Y. They are the input and output. X is dependent and Y is X is independent, Y is dependent. Now we get the data entry here, and I assume that X has got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 respectively, and Y has got 2, 4, 6, 3 and 5 respectively. Don't ask me how did this data come. I assumed it. I'm again telling you, I assume this data. Right? Now what is the mean for this? 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 by 5. If you put, you will get the mean 3. Similarly for this, you get the mean 4. Now calculate the mean for X and Y. The mean X is 3 and the mean Y is 4. The first step out of 4 or 5 steps is done. Now what is the next step, sir? Very simple. Start the plot. I need to plot it. Now in the X I have got the independent, and Y I have got the dependent variable. 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Now I started plotting. First point here, second here, third, fourth and fifth. I hope this is understandable, and we have plotted. Now what is the next step, sir? I know what is the mean for X and what is the mean for Y. So just draw the line here. This is mean X, this is mean Y. Draw the line and you will have an intersect point here for the mean of X and Y. Now draw this. That's all. You have almost completed the task. It's very simple. Now what did we do? We have just drawn the point of intersection and I derived this point. Now I intercept it. Now is it over? No sir, it is not yet over. We need to calculate the distance. I mean the X value minus X mean, Y value minus Y mean. We need to do that. This is the fourth step. How do we do it, sir? Very simple. Remember this table. This is actually made complex in many books. So do not worry about it. This is actually made complex. When I refer a lot of books, this is made certainly very complex, but it is not complex. It's so easy. Let's take it up in a right procedure so that we all can understand it with ease. And this is pretty easy. I'll tell you and I'll explain you step by step. Right? One second. Just 1 second. I'm sorry. Yeah. Now, what do we do? Very simple. We have got X here. We fill all the values of X 1 2 3 4 5. We have got Y here. I put all the values of Y 2 4 6 3 5. Now what is X minus X bar? X bar is nothing but mean and mean is nothing but 3. So 1 minus 3, 2 minus 3, 3 minus 3, 4 minus 3, 5 minus 3. So we get the value as minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1 and 2. You can add it and test it. You will find one very important thing. Let me know what is it. Now Y minus Y bar. Y is 2, Y bar is 4. So 2 minus 4, 4 minus 4, 6 minus 4, 3 minus 4, 5 minus 4. You will find minus 2, 2, minus 1, 1. Again there is a factor. Now what do we do? I need to do X minus X bar the whole square. So what is that? Minus 2 whole square is 4. Minus 1 square is 1. 0 square is nothing. Let's ignore. 1 square is 1 again. 2 square is 4. So what I get is 10. Remember this. We have X minus X bar square as 10. We have derived one very important answer. Now we need to identify what is X minus X bar and Y minus Y bar. Right? X minus X bar into Y minus Y bar. We have got that answer already. What is X minus X bar? Minus 2 is here, minus 2 is here. So minus 2 into minus 2, minus 1 into 0, 0 into 2, 1 into minus 1, 2 into 1. So we get 4 plus 2 minus 1, which is nothing but 5. We have got two answers here. The first answer is X minus X bar the whole square, and the second answer is X minus X bar dot Y minus Y bar. Remember it. Now what are we supposed to do? We are going to find what is B0 and what is B1. That's our target. We are going to find out the B0 and B1. That's what we are going to do eventually. So how are we going to do? Y equal to mx plus c. We know this formula. Here it is B0 plus B1 dot x. So what is B1? We know what is B1 because the formula is very simple. X minus X bar, Y minus Y bar summation by summation of X minus X bar. You can see that here. That is what we have derived here, 10 and 5. So what do we do? It is 5 by 10 0.5. So the B1 value is 0.5. Now what is the next step? I need to identify how do we get the B0 value, right? We need to identify the B0. Y cap equal to B0 plus B1 dot X. So what will happen? Mean B0, B1, you can see that here 3 and 4 are used here. 4 is equal to B0 plus B1 value already derived, which is 0.5, and you can see that here into 3. So 4 is equal to B0 plus 1.5. Now B0 is nothing but when I compute by subtracting 1.5 both sides, I'll get 2.5. Now what are all the things we got? We got what is B1, what is B0. That's it. This is called the least square method. Was it understandable? I'll share the material also with you so that you can understand it clearly if you are not able to understand it in the short duration that I spent with you. Is it understandable? It's all simple math. It's all very simple math. Right. Now, R square is there, but I don't think it is extremely important as what we have done here. So I also got very limited time. I got the next session by 1:45 for me, so I need to go there. So instead, we'll go with some other important things that we need to understand towards building the regression model, because I need to show you how to build a model. You can see that here I have collected a data set, I have built it, and I'll show you the output also for it. I have got a clear video pitch which is ready for you. So we will understand that shortly as well, but let's go step by step. I don't want to be in a hurry to complete. Right, so what is it, sir? Now we need to build a regression model. But before that, I wish I show you something that we have built recently, and that's one of the state-of-the-art products for helping the drivers. What is it? It's called driver monitoring system or driver assisting system. So you can call it either way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen with a demo that I have ready. Watch it, and they are all the possibilities. What I'm going to tell you now is they are all the possibilities that we are having in hand. These are all the projects that I have built. All right. So we have so many other chances also, and you can try it out at your end also. And if you have any ideas, let me know. I can also help you. So all these are done with only this machine learning and deep learning concepts, and they are literally very helpful. If you want to publish a paper, if you want to get something done out of it, I think it is the best way we can learn it. So let me open the screen and let me share it. 1 second, give me 1 second, please. Hello, welcome back. In the previous, just give me 1 second. I hope you don't mind the delay for 1 minute. Hello, we have built a driver monitor. All these are available in my channel again, so I can give you the link and you can learn it as well. And it's not going to be a great problem for you guys to understand and code it. You see this particular video demo, will be more than happy. This is called a driver monitoring system, which is completely based on mathematics and completely based on models. So we have used models to extremely train this, and it's pretty easy for you, right? Let me play this, and it has got a background voice which can help you in understanding things better. System, which is fundamentally based on camera like any other driver monitoring system. Normally, the DMS is expected to provide a real-time evaluation of the presence and the state of. Can you see the screen? Whatever video I am showing?
No, sir, video is not visible.
Video is not visible. Okay, 1 second. Let me share it again. Share. Yeah, I'm sharing it. Could you see that now? There is a screen. Driver monitoring system. Yes, right? Okay. Driver, and that's what we do. Hello. We have built a driver monitoring system. Can you listen to the audio? I told we have built a driver monitoring system. It's audio embedded with video. Yes, okay, great. Which is fundamentally based on camera like any other driver monitoring system. Normally, the DMS is expected to provide a real-time evaluation of the presence and the state of driver, and that's what we do as well. We are going to monitor the status of the driver in certain aspects. For example, I'm going to first identify whom the driver is based on the pre-trained system.
we can allow only certain people to drive our vehicle, and we train our system with the database, with the images of those people who are allowed to drive our vehicle. So the first stage is to identify who is the driver. The driver identification is done. Second part is how many people are sitting in the car is to be evaluated, because we cannot have more than 4 people in a 4-seater car or more than 5 people in a 5-seater car. And the next very important thing is allowing children in the front row of the car. It is prohibited in many countries and it is not allowed. In case of an accident, the children will get impacted very highly, and that's to be avoided. So we are also tracking if children are sitting in the front row, and be given alert in case it happens. And the overload alert is also given. For example, in a 4-seated car, if there are 5 people, we pop up an alert saying that this is overload. And now the driver, if he turns his head and shows only his head, if it is full of hair or if he is bald, we cannot recognize the driver, and we have tested it as well. And the most important point, the driver can wear a spectacle or a coolers, we could still recognize it. The driver can wear a headphone or he can wear a headgear like cap. We tested it as well. I'm going to show you all this step by step, and I hope you understand how the system works. Now, if you see that in the screen, we have got the status and the system is launched. You can see that train model, test model, retrain, remove directory, and the exit options are there.
Are you not able to see the video? I think people are seeing. Are you seeing the video screen? Yes, right, yeah. Correct.
First, we are removing all the available pre-trained data so that we can start from the scratch. Now you can see that I'm going to press the option 1. So once the option 1 is pressed, you are ready to train the system. I'm going to enter the ID and name is Ash. Now the training is going to start here. You can see that the person sitting in the right or left can be captured based on the driving system. If you are in Indian system, you will have to go with the right. Similarly, left driving is also allowed. We can set up our system based on the requirement. Now the training has to happen, and we need to take about 10 to 15 images at least, and the frame capturing happens right now, as you could see in front of you. It is about 10 frames that is sufficient for me to completely get the system ready, but more the images is going to get you better the results. That's a natural phenomena that everybody follows. But for the want of time, we stop it at say around 15 to 20 images, and that is sufficient for us. The training happens, and all these are real time. And how many ever drivers you can, I mean, if you want to allow 5 drivers in your system to drive the car, I need to train the system with 5. So other people will be automatically recognized, and it's a problem there. We will give an alert. Now we are going to test the model, and entry of 2 is sufficient for us. So automatically that testing will start right now. Now you can see that it's recognized as Ash because the driver that we trained is Ash, and the moment he moves out, it was also recognized properly. You can see that now it is recognized as male and not a child. Driver name is Ash, and number of people is 1. All these detail, number of children is 0. Now when he puts his heads down, when the driver put his heads down, the hair is only seen there, so it cannot understand. And so that's a problem. So if hair is too much, also the system is having some problem. But once he's shown properly, that's all determined properly. So now you can see that I'm showing a face of a child through a mobile phone. I did not have a kid near me, so we tested it this way by showing a photo, and you can say that it's very difficult to classify a kid as a male or a female when it is an infant. That's the problem that we face as well. But you can see that it's classified as child most of the time. You can see that when it is closer, it's getting classified. Because of the shake of the camera, we could find some discrepancies there, but still is fine. And you got an alert message saying children not allowed in the front seats right in the beginning over there. And that's a very important feature. So the next thing to be included is to test the driver with different accessories like spectacles with earphones kind of stuff. So we are going to do that right now so that you can easily understand our system stability at multiple scenarios. Now, you'll see that right now. You can see that the system is also performing quite well and quite real time. There is no delay, and most importantly, the results are also obtained real time in the background. You could see that. So now I'm going to show a lot of people. I have got a photograph where we've got a lot of people, and the passenger limit is exceeded. All the male females are identified properly, and we got an alert as passenger limit exceeded. So that's a very important point. Now we are going to go with one more scenario. So I'm going to test the model again, but with one more scenario, as I told you, with spectacles, and you can see that it's still nicely recognizing as Azure. That's it. It's a very simple setup and it's at a very initial stage, but still, this is a very vital system, I believe. And we are going to go with more training content into it, like we are going to train for multiple ethnicity, multiple races also we are going to take up. Now you can see that we have trained the system with the CAP as well, and it's recognizing nicely with CAP. So all these are done real time and there is no delay at all. And that's the most appreciable feature that you need to really note into. And that's all. So thank
I'll show you another thing which is absolutely based on this. I hope you liked it. And I'll show you the next one which you will be stunned to see. See, Indian roads are the toughest roads. Indian roads are the toughest roads really for somebody to use it for machine learning or deep learning analysis. I'm telling you, it's very, very difficult to analyze. But we are able to do that, and I'm going to do that. Yes, it can work with Raspberry Pi, it can work with NVIDIA boards, it can work with any board. There is no problem. We are not dependent on any one particular board, by the way, and we make sure that it is working for all the boards. Whenever you write an algorithm, please remember it has to be written for everything. It cannot be just saying that no, I will work only with this board. Otherwise, it's not going to be a very effective one. Let me share the screen where you will be able to see that. One second. Can you see the screen? Is it visible?
Yes, sir, visible.
The VLC media player. I mean, I am sharing the screen where I have got Ubuntu screen, alarm 8, alarm 19, alarm 20 is there. Could you see that? Right.
Sir, it's still loading.
Oh, is it? I think your internet is slow. Somebody could see that? No. Okay. Let me